Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by, and welcome to the NIO Inc. Q4 2022 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's conference call is being recorded. I would now like to hand the conference over to your host, Ms. Yi Kang from Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to NIO's Q4 2022 earnings conference call. The company's financial and operating results were published in the press release earlier today and are posted at the company's IR website. On today's call, we have Mr. William Li, Founder, Chairman of the Board, and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Stephen Feng, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Stanley Qu, Senior VP of Finance, and Ms. Jade Wei, VP of Capital Markets. Before we continue, please be kindly reminded that today's discussion will contain forward-looking statements made under the Safe Harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties. As such, the company's actual results may be materially different from the views expressed today. Further information regarding risks and uncertainties is included in certain filings of the company with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong Limited, and the Singapore Exchange Securities Trading Limited. The company does not assume any obligation to update any forward-looking statements except as required under applicable law. Please also note that NIO's earnings press release and this conference call include discussions of unaudited GAAP financial information as well as unaudited non-GAAP financial measures. Please refer to NIO's press release, which contains a reconciliation of the unaudited non-GAAP measures to comparable GAAP measures. With that, I will now turn the call over to our CEO, Mr. William Li. William, please go ahead.
大家好，非常感谢各位参加未来2022年第四季度以及全年业绩沟通会议。
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining NIO's 2022 Q4 earnings conference.
2022年第四季度，未来共计交付40052辆高端智能电动汽车，同比增长60%，实现季度交付新高。根据中汽中心的零售数据，未来在成交价30万以上的中国高端电动汽车市场排名第一，市场份额达到 54.8%。在成交价40万以上的高端电动汽车市场，市场份额达到 75.8%。
In Q4 2022, NIO delivered a total of 40,052 smart electric vehicles, up 60% year-over-year, achieving a new quarterly record. According to the retail data released by CATAC, China Automotive Technology and Research Center, NIO was the best-selling brand in China's premium EV market, priced over 300,000 RMB, with a market share of 54.8%, while our market share in the premium EV market, priced over 400,000 RMB, reached 75.8%.
2022年，尽管受到新冠疫情、供应链波动等因素的影响，未来共计交付122486辆高端智能电动汽车，同比增长34%。
In 2022, despite the impact posed by COVID and supply chain disruptions, NIO delivered a total of 122,486 smart electric vehicles, up 34% year-over-year.
2023年前2个月，未来交付了20663辆新车，相比去年同期实现 30.9% 的增长。我们预计2023年第一季度的总交付量为31000到33000辆。
In January and February of 2023, we delivered 20,663 vehicles, representing a 30.89% increase year-over-year. We expect the total deliveries in the Q1 of this year to be between 31,000 and 33,000 units.
随着高端市场电动汽车渗透率的持续提升，以及未来更多新产品在今年2季度相继交付，我们对2023年全年的市场需求充满信心。
As the penetration rate of the premium EV grows and more new products expected to be delivered in the second quarter, we have a strong confidence in the market demand in 2023.
接下来我跟大家交流一下产品研发和运营方面的进展。
Next, I would like to share some recent highlights of our products, R&D and operations.
ET5 从2022年9月底开始交付以来，生产稳步爬坡，交付整体上升。根据中汽中心的零售数据，今年1月份在30万以上的中型轿车市场， ET5 超越传统品牌同级众多油车的畅销车型，在北京、上海、广州、深圳等19个城市交付量位列第一，在全国市场位列第二。
Since we started to deliver ET5 in September 2022, its production and delivery have been ramping up steadily. According to Catac's retail data, this January, among all the mid-sized sedans priced over 300,000 RMB, NIO ET5 outperformed popular internal combustion vehicles from well-established brands and became the top-selling model in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and other 15 cities in China, and the second best-selling model nationwide in China.
2022年12月24日，蔚来在合肥举办 NIO Day 2022，发布了 SUV EC7 和全场景智能电动旗舰 SUV 全新 ES8。EC7 是一款大5座的轿跑 SUV， 传承了蔚来的高性能基因，拥有极致的驾控表现，预计于今年5月份开启交付。作为蔚来旗舰 SUV 车型，基于 NT2 平台全新升级的 ES8 有2种6座布局，能满足工作、家庭、社交和探索全场景需求，预计于今年6月份开启交付。2款新产品在发布后受到了广泛的关注和好评。
On December 24, 2022, we held NIO Day 2022 in Hefei, where we launched the smart electric flagship coupe SUV EC7 and the all-round flagship SUV, the all-new ES8. EC7 is a mid-large size coupe SUV that inherits NIO's high-performance DNA and delivers ultimate handling and riding experience. The delivery of the EC7 is expected to start in May. As NIO's flagship SUV based on the technology platform 2.0, the 6-seater all-new ES8 offers 2-seat layouts, catering to all scenarios, including work, family, social, and exploration. The delivery of the all-new ES8 is expected to start in June. Both new products have attracted wide attention and received great feedback.
今年上半年，蔚来将陆续推出更多新产品，加快从产品发布到用户交付的节奏。供应链和制造团队也在积极进行新车型切换和量产爬坡的准备工作，确保产能和供应满足新产品的需求增长。
In the first half of this year, NIO will gradually launch more new products and shorten the waiting time from launch to user delivery. Our supply chain and manufacturing teams have been preparing for new product launches and production ramp-up, making sure that supply and production go hand in hand with the growing demand for the new products.
智能驾驶方面，蔚来已经向 NT2 平台用户全量分批推送了 NOP Plus 增强领航辅助的 beta 版，基于全站自研的智能驾驶技术和数据闭环。NOP Plus Beta 版在安心感、舒适性、通行效率等维度都有明显提升，使用率相比 NOP 提升了1倍。最近1周的总使用里程就超过了175万公里。我们将在今年上半年推出更多的功能，并且逐步实现高速领航换电。
For intelligent driving, NIO has gradually rolled out NOP Plus Beta to all NT2 vehicles based on our full-stack in-house developed intelligent driving technologies and closed-loop data management. NOP Plus Beta has realized significant improvements in areas of a sense of reassurance, comfort, and efficiency. The utilization rate has doubled, with a total engaged mileage of over 1.75 million kilometers in the recent week. We plan to roll out more features and functions to our users and will gradually release Power Swap Palette for highway in the first half of this year.
销售和服务网络方面，我们现有375家未来中心和未来空间，覆盖141个城市，拥有305家服务中心和交付中心，覆盖148个城市。
With respect to the sales and service network, we now have 375 new houses and new spaces in 141 cities, and 305 new service centers and new delivery centers in 148 cities.
充换电网络方面，我们已经累计布局1331座换电站，累计为用户提供超过1800万次换电服务。我们也已经累计部署6385根超充桩和7555根目的地充电桩。与此同时，我们的充电地图接入了第三方充电桩超过104万根。2022年，未来用户为车辆补充的电量超过50%来自于换电站，换电已经成为未来用户最便捷和依赖的补能方式。
In terms of the charging and swapping network, NIO has installed a total of 1,331 power swap stations and provided over 18 million battery swaps for our users. In the meantime, NIO has cumulatively deployed 6,385 power chargers and 7,558 destination chargers, and our power map has been connected to over 1.04 million third-party chargers. In 2022, 50% of the power charged by our users is from battery swapping stations, which has become the most convenient and favorite solution among NIO users.
2023年，未来将加快换电网络的布局速度，计划新增1000座换电站，到2023年底累计建成超过2300个换电站。目前第3代站的量产工作进展顺利，预计4月份开始大规模量产。换电站的加速布局不仅能够给现有用户提供超越期待的体验，也将为需求的增长提供强有力的支持。
In 2023, NIO will speed up the development of the battery swapping network and plan to install additional 1,000 power swap stations. By the end of 2023, there will be more than 2,300 power swap stations in total. So far, the mass production of Power Swap Station 3.0 is going forward smoothly, with a large-scale production expected to start in April. The accelerated deployment of power swap stations can not only provide existing users with experiences beyond expectations, but also significantly boost user demand.
去年4季度，蔚来正式进入德国、荷兰、丹麦、瑞典，向欧洲用户提供 NT2 车型和全体系服务。
In Q4 2022, NIO started to offer NT 2.0 products and comprehensive services in Germany, the Netherlands, Denmark, and Sweden.
蔚来产品在欧洲受到专业媒体的高度认可，用户满意度也达到了我们的预期。继斩获德国金方向盘之后 ，ET7 屡次荣获欧洲大奖，包括丹麦汽车大奖年度领先技术奖、瑞典传威汽车杂志 AMS 颁发的年度汽车和最佳豪华车2项大奖，荷兰商业车主协会评选的2023年度最具潜力车型等。2023年1月31日，智能电动中大型 SUV EL7 开始向欧洲首批用户交付。随着更多样化的产品组合陆续交付，以及销售服务及补能网络的逐步完善，品牌认知度不断提升，我们对在欧洲的长期发展充满信心。
New products have been highly recognized by professional media in Europe, and the user satisfaction rate has also reached our expectations. After obtaining the prestigious Golden Steering Wheel Award, ET7 was honored with multiple awards in Europe, such as the Technological Front Runner of the Year at the Danish Auto Awards, Car of the Year and the Best in the Luxury segment by Automoto Sport Sweden, and the Promise of 2023 by the Association of Business Drivers in Netherlands. On January 31st, 2023, we started to deliver EL7 our mid-large smart electric SUV to the first batch of users in Europe. As we continue to introduce a more diversified product portfolio, expand our sales service and power network, improve our brand awareness, we are confident in our long-term development in Europe.
在自研电池、AD 芯片、大众市场品牌等战略新业务的研发方面，总体进展在按计划推进。
The R&D efforts of our strategic new businesses, including batteries, AD chips, and mass market brand, are also well on track.
未来的发展离不开用户一如既往的支持。2022年一共有4447位用户志愿者投入到车展、NIO Day 等活动中。未来用户也在积极为社会贡献力量，志愿者公益活动达到6204人次。
The development of NIO wouldn't have been possible without our users' continued support. In 2022, 4,447 users volunteered at auto shows, NIO Day, and other events. NIO users have also been actively making contributions to society with the participation of public welfare activities reaching 6,204 people times in 2022.
1月18日，企业爵士发布的2023年全球最佳可持续发展企业100强的榜单，在企业爵士设置的包括零部件在内的汽车和卡车制造业类别的233家企业中，蔚来排名第一。与此同时，2023年1月31日，蔚来第二先进制造基地正式成为中国首个获得工业绿色建筑3星设计和 LEED Gold 双认证的电动汽车制造基地。
On January 18, 2023, NIO was recognized in Corporate Knights 2023 Global 100, the world's most sustainable companies list. Among 333 companies in the car and trucks manufacturing, including parts category, NIO ranked first. In the meantime, on January 31st, 2023, NIO's second advanced manufacturing base was certified 3-star green building and LEED Gold, marking the first of its kind in China.
蔚来高度重视低碳发展、环境保护与生态共建，并积极践行可持续发展理念，持续提升 ESG 表现和实践。
We attach particular importance to low carbon development, environmental protection, and ecosystem co-construction, and actively practice sustainable philosophy to continuously improve our ESG performance.
2022年，我们围绕未来的长期竞争力，在核心技术和产品研发、充换电和销售服务网络布局、全球市场开拓等方面坚决投入，并取得了重要进展，为公司的长远发展奠定了坚实的基础。
In 2022, to build our long-term competitiveness, we made decisive investments and achieved positive strides in the research and development of core technologies and products, the deployment of charging and swapping infrastructure, as well as the sales and service network, and the global market expansion, laying a solid foundation for the company's long-term growth.
2023年，随着 NT2 平台全系产品的发布和交付，我们将全力以赴为用户提供超越期待的体验。同时，我们将致力于执行效率的全面提升，以敏捷高效的工作节奏参与全球电动汽车市场的长期竞争。
As our product portfolio transitions to NT 2.0 with more new products to be launched and delivered in 2023, we will do our level best to provide users with experiences beyond expectations. At the same time, we aim for all-round execution efficiency improvements so as to compete in the global EV market in the long run in an agile and efficient manner.
感谢大家的支持。现在 Steven 将为大家介绍2022年第4季度的财务业绩，有请 Steven。
As always, thank you for your support. With that, I will now turn the call over to Steven to provide the financial details for the fourth quarter. Over to you, Steven.
Thank you, William. I will now go over our key financial results for the fourth quarter of 2022. To be mindful of this lens of this call, I will reference to RMB only in my discussion today. I encourage listeners to refer to our earnings press release, which is posted online for additional details. Our total revenues in the fourth quarter were 16.1 billion RMB, representing an increase of 62.2% year-over-year and 23.5% quarter-over-quarter. Our total revenues are made of two parts: vehicle sales and other sales. Vehicle sales in the fourth quarter were 14.8 billion RMB, representing an increase of 60.2% year-over-year and 23.7% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in vehicle sales year-over-year was mainly attributed to higher deliveries as a result of a more diversified product mix offered to our users. The increase in vehicle sales quarter-over-quarter was mainly due to volume ramp-up of the ET5 and ES7. Other sales in the fourth quarter were 1.3 billion RMB, representing an increase of 90.3% year-over-year, an increase of 22% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in other sales year-over-year was mainly due to the increase of revenue from rendering of research and development services and increase in other revenues in line with the incremental vehicle sales. The increase in other sales quarter-over-quarter was mainly due to the increase of revenue from rendering of research and development services and increase in sales from accessories, charging piles, and used cars in line with the incremental vehicle sales, partially offset by the sales of automotive luxury credits in the third quarter of 2022. Gross margin in the fourth quarter of 2022 was 3.9%, compared with 17.2% in the fourth quarter of 2021 and 13.3% in the third quarter of 2022. The decrease of gross margin year-over-year was mainly attributed to decrease of vehicle margin. Decrease of gross margin quarter-over-quarter was mainly attributed to decreased vehicle margin, and the decrease in other sales margin mainly resulted from the sales of automotive luxury credits with high gross margin in the third quarter of 2022. More specifically, vehicle margin in the fourth quarter was 6.8%, compared with 20.9% in the fourth quarter of 2021 and 16.4% in the third quarter of 2022. The decrease of vehicle margin year-over-year was mainly attributed to, first, increased inventory provisions, accelerated depreciation on production facilities, and losses on purchase commitments for the existing generation of ES8, ES6, and EC6 that are expected to have lower production levels and deliveries due to the transition to new models on the NIO technology platform 2.0, which in totality negatively impacted vehicle margin by 6.7%. And second, increased battery cost per unit. The decrease of vehicle margin from the third quarter of 2022 was mainly due to the increased inventory provisions, accelerated depreciation on production facilities, and the losses on purchase commitments for the existing generation of ES8, ES6, and EC6. R&D expenses in the fourth quarter were 4.0 billion RMB, representing an increase of 117.7% year-over-year and 35.2% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in R&D expenses year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter was attributed to the increased personnel costs in research and development functions, as well as the incremental design and development costs of new products and technologies. SG&A expenses in the fourth quarter were 3.5 billion RMB, representing an increase of 49.6% year-over-year and 30% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in SG&A expenses year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter was primarily due to, first, the increase in personnel costs related to sales and general corporate functions. Second, the increase in marketing and promotion activities to promote our vehicles in China and Europe. Third, increased expenses related to the company's sales and service network expansion. Loss from operations in the fourth quarter was 6.7 billion RMB, representing an increase of 175.5% year-over-year and 74% quarter-over-quarter. Other income net in the fourth quarter of 2022 was 315.7 million RMB, representing an increase of 262.2 million RMB from the fourth quarter of 2021, and an increase of 811.3 million RMB from other losses of 495.6 million RMB in the third quarter of 2022. The increase of other incomes year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter was mainly due to the gains from the revaluation of our overseas RMB-related assets as a result of the appreciation of RMB against its dollars in the fourth quarter of 2022. Net loss in the fourth quarter was 5.8 billion RMB, representing an increase of 169.9% year-over-year and 40.8% quarter-over-quarter. Net loss attributable to NIO's ordinary shareholders in the fourth quarter was 5.8 billion RMB, representing an increase of 168.3% year-over-year and 41.2% quarter-over-quarter. Our balance of cash and cash equivalents, restricted cash, short-term investment, and long-term time deposits was 45.5 billion RMB as of December 31st, 2022. This concludes our prepared remarks. I will now turn the call over to the operator to facilitate our Q&A session.
Thank you. If you wish to ask a question, please press star one on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, please press star then two. If you're on a speakerphone, please pick up your handset to ask your question. For the benefit of all participants on today's call, please limit yourself to 2 questions. If you have additional questions, you can re-enter the queue. Our first question today comes from Tim Zhang with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
管理层你 好， 非常感谢接受我的提问。我现在2个问题。第一个问题是有关于就是零部件供应链跟这个量。就是去年其实这个年底的时候，未来整车的交付呢，我们看到做到这个零部件，比如说铀金和车架、EDS 跟摄像头芯片的一些前置。那根据这次这个财报一季度的指引，显示3月份的这个交付还是偏弱。那是否关键零部件的供给呢，目前看起来还是有一些瓶颈？那是不是可以请管理层分享一下最新的情况？那目前零部件整体的这个匹配最高的这个整车的月度和周度产出的数量大概是多少？那我们在2季度大概会看到什么样的一个改善？好，这是我的第一个问题。So my first question is about the supply chain and also the volume. because NIO's shipments last year were seriously dragged by the supply bottleneck of aluminum parts, EDS, and chips. So according to the announcement of NIO's first quarter volume guidance of 31 to 33,000, also suggests more moderate vehicle sales in March. Is that because some components are still suffering from supply constraints? What's current vehicle production run rate and how fast you could ramp up on weekly and monthly base into second quarter? 好，这是我的第一个问题，谢谢。
谢谢 Tim。去年的四季度确实因为零部件的供应影响了我们一些车的交付，但你也知道，这个今年的一季度，这个从1月份开始，事实上中国的这个疫情的管控，疫情的整个这个基本上已经结束了，所以目前来讲的话呢，我们的零部件的供应总体来说已经不太是一个瓶颈了。那我们当然这个在二季度开始，随着我们新车的这个交付，在初期的话呢，我们会有一些爬坡这样的一些挑战。但从全年来讲的话呢，如果以现在的情况来讲的话，我们认为这个供应方面的这个压力对我们来说是会大大的下降。从目前来讲，不太会成为我们的一个制约因素。
Thank you, Tim, for your question. In the fourth quarter of last year, the supply of the parts have affected our vehicle deliveries to some extent. But starting from the first quarter of this year, we have seen that the control and prevention measures regarding the COVID have been lifted. So currently, we believe the supply of the parts is not the bottleneck for us. Starting from the second quarter, we believe with our new vehicle deliveries, we will need to have some time to ramp up the production, but we don't believe the part supply will be a constraint for us.
好的，那谢谢。我第二个问题是有关于可能毛利率跟这个电池的价格，因为第一就是我们看到四季度毛利下降比较明显。好，那这个公告里面提到毛利率这个 6.7 个点的影响多少是一次性的，多少是会延续到一季度。那同时间今年的好消息可能是电池降价吧。那就是和宁德采购这个长期采购的合作以及电池成本降价之后，就是对于集团利润的一个贡献。那因为之前可能威廉之前有提到，就是碳酸锂价格每变动10万元会影响未来这边2个点毛利。好，所以我们在和这个电池厂谈判的话，这一块对于我们全年大概会有一个多大的贡献？这个是不是可以请您分享一下？ So my second question is about the battery cost and also the gross margin, because the fourth quarter vehicle gross margin dropped more significantly. So within the 6.7 percentage point margin shortfall mentioned in the announcement, how much of that would be one-off? And how much of that would be lasting into first quarter? And in the meantime, on the bright side, I think battery prices cost you bow out to the vehicle margin, NIO's vehicle margin this year. So how should we think about the contribution from the renewed battery contract prices? Because I recall that we mentioned every 100,000 RMB decrease in lithium carbonate will lead to about 2 percentage point vehicle gross margin expansion. So could you please share some updates regarding how much more contribution from the lower battery cost should we expect this year or in first half? Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. This is Danny. First, I want to further clarify the Q4's 2020's gross profit margin. Since our brand new ES8, ES6, E6 will start user delivery in Q2 2023. So we lower our order forecast for current generation ES8, ES6, and EC6 in Q4 2022. So inventory provision and losses on purchase commitments relate to those products was booked in Q4 with total amount of RMB 985 million. Excluding this impact, the vehicle margin in Q4 was 13.5%. So compared with the last quarter, the decrease results from the change of product mix, especially more ET5 sold in Q4 with lower gross profit margin. And for the forecast of gross profit margin in 2023, I ask William to help explain. Okay.
全年来讲的话呢，我们认为在Q4 或者说全年吧，Q4 吧，我们认为爬升到18到20个点的一个毛利，我们还是有信心的。当然几个方面的影响，一个的话呢是我们的产品组合，因为我们从 Q2 开始的话，我们的相对来说高行业一些的产品会陆续的交付。那么第二个来讲的话呢，是你也谈到了锂价和原材料价格的一些下降啊，包括芯片成本的一些下降。那么这个对我们的影响还是比较大的。那目前来讲的话，我们看到碳酸锂最近的话呢，在比较快速的下降啊，我们也看到了市场上一般的认为的话呢，是包括我们前2天我们也刚刚跟很多上游的材料的公司做了非常密集的交流啊，也了解他们的产能的情况和投产的情况。那么在今年还是有非常多的这种锂的产出啊，在今年投产。那么我们也看到需求的话呢，肯定不会像去年那么强劲，去年确实是超过了大家的预计。所以总的来说，我们认为在 Q4 是有机会下降到20万，甚至于比它更低的碳酸锂的这么一个价格。那么第三个当然也是我们认为从 Q3 开始，我们的整个的交付量会显著的上升，因为我们在 Q2 的话，我们的新产品都会陆续的交付。那么随着销量和交付量的上升的话，我们很多固定的成本的分摊啊，也会能够得到很好的一个改善。所以总的来说，我们认为回到18到20个点的一个毛利的水平，是我们追求的一个目标，我们认为也是有信心实现的。
So for the gross margin for the full year of 2023, we are confident that in the Q4 of 2023, the vehicle gross margin will go back to 18 to 20%. Due to several factors. The first one is our product portfolio. Starting from the second quarter of this year, we are going to start the delivery of vehicle models with higher vehicle gross margins. And the second factor is, just like you mentioned, recently we have witnessed the cost reductions of the raw materials, including the lithium carbonate, chips, and other commodities. So we believe that this will also contribute to our vehicle gross margin improvement in this year. Especially when it comes to the lithium carbonate cost, we have witnessed significant cost reductions. We have also engaged discussions with the upstream companies in the battery supply chain. We understand there are some capacities reserved for the lithium carbonate this year, and starting from this year, we're going to see more output from the upstream capacities. At the same time, considering the market demand, we believe the demand probably is not going to be that strong compared with the past. But if we balance the supply and the demand regarding the lithium carbonate, we believe probably in the fourth quarter of this year is quite likely the lithium carbonate cost will go down to probably around 200,000 RMB or even lower. The third factor we believe is that starting from the third quarter of this year, we're going to start more product deliveries. This is mainly because more new product will be delivered to our users starting from the second quarter of this year. So we believe with the ramp up of the vehicle deliveries, the amortization rate of the fixed cost will also improve. So our target still remains that we can achieve the vehicle gross margin of 18 to 20%, and we're very confident that we can achieve that.
我想补充一下，一季度我们还是会面临比较大的压力，因为一季度对我们来说还是一个转换期。大家也看到了我们的销量的话呢，也在一个转换期，因为我们要等着切换到第二代平台。另外一方面的话呢，现有的我们已经生产出来的这样的一些866的车型啊，那我们为了补贴国补的退坡啊，还有我们展车的一些清库啊，我们有一些金融贴息这方面的一些政策，那么对短期毛利是有影响的。还有一点的话呢，就是我们 F1 的工厂，因为要为866新的第二代车型的生产做准备，所以总的来说，第一 F1 工厂在一季度的产出也是比较低的啊。 那么这个对于我们整个的单次摊销也会有一些影响。所以包括我们产品组合，因为一季度的交付主要是 ET， 它相对来说毛利率也会低一些，所以一季度的我们的毛利率的压力是比较大的。
So for the first quarter of this year, we believe that we're going to face more pressure on the vehicle gross margin, considering the overall situation. Because this is a transitional period for the company when it comes to the vehicle sales, because we are transitioning into a new technology platform for our product portfolio to the NT2 22.0. So it means that for the existing generation of the ES8, ES6 and the EC6, we will need to have some measures to accommodate the subsidy reduction as well as some subsidization of the show cars. At the same time, when it comes to the production capacities, because we need to prepare for the launch of the new generation ES8, ES6 and EC6 in our factory 1. So we need to do some modifications and the toolings of the production lines. This has affected the output of the factory 1 in the first quarter, which resulting a higher vehicle cost for of a product. So at the same time, when it comes to the specific quarter, that is the first quarter of this year, we will also see that the ET5 contribute as a large portion of the overall vehicle delivery, which will also affect our vehicle's margin in the first quarter.
Thank you, Tim.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much.
The next question comes from Ming Zun Li with Bank of America. Please go ahead.
威廉还有各位领导你们好。那谢谢让我提问了。那我这边也是2个问题。那第一个问题呢是关于就是这个费用的指引，因为记得上个季度那个时候威廉应该有提到就是希望未来还是每个季度希望能够在这个 R&D 能够控在30个亿左右这样的一个金额。那不晓得就是管理层现在有没有比较新的整个一个 OPEX 的一个指引，因为刚才管理层也提到说今年的一个目标也是要增加这个资金运用效率，那想了解一下sales and marketing， 然后还有 R&D 这边的一个费用有没有一个新的指引。So my first question is related to operating expense. So in the past you really mentioned that R&D per quarter is expected to be around 3 billion RMB. But this quarter we saw that the expense is close to 4 billion. So we want to understand if there is a new guidance for sales and marketing as well as R&D expense. 谢谢，这是我第一个问题。
I mean, this is Danny. The guidance for R&D expense I think we keep this guidance, and our average base for each quarter of 2023, the non-GAAP R&D expense will be around 3 to 3.5 billion RMB. So that's for R&D expense. And for SG&A, as mentioned by William, along with the start of user delivery of our new NT2 product in Q2, we think our sales efficiency will be improved gradually, and the ratio of SG&A versus sales revenue is expected to drop significantly. So that's for the first question. Thank you, Ming.
我补充一下，就是我们在 SG&A 的时候，因为我们会把欧洲的这个投入都是算在里边，欧洲整体的，当然现在销量还是很早期投入是一个初期，投入量会比较大一些，所以有时候看我们这个效率的时候，可能也要把我们在全球市场进入方面的考虑进去。
Just to add to Stanley's point, regarding the SG&A, because we also need to consider the investment for the European market. For the European market, right now we're still at a relatively early stage in terms of the vehicle sales and the deliveries. We believe that this is more like a investment period for our global market expansion.
谢谢。那我的第二个问题呢是关于这个产品投放，那想确定一下，因为今年的新车主要就是866、EC7 跟 ET5的列装版，那想确认一下，目前这个 EC6 新的 EC6 跟 ES6 的话，它会是在跟ES8 差不多的时间，也同时准备交付嘛？那另外也想要再确认一下，像我们目前的这个ES7 跟 ET7。那今年会不会也有一些这个小改款或者是小的 upgrade， 把这个去年的这个版本做一个小的升级？那另外可不可以请William 这边可以简述一下包括明年的一个新车 pipeline 包含第二品牌？谢谢。So my second question is related to product pipeline. So this year you will have a new ES8, ES6 and the EC6. EC7 and ET5 wagon version. So what will be the time for ES6 and the EC6 to be delivered? Besides that, for ES7 and the ET7, will you have a facelift version to further improve your autonomous driving function as well as smart cabin function? Meanwhile, could you also elaborate your rough product pipeline for 2024, include the second brand? 谢谢。
谢谢。今年二季度的话呢，我们这个是会按照目前最新的计划，我们会交付4款车当然这里面包括这个 ES6 当然是我们最重要的车型。那么我们在7月份还会交付这个今年的第5款车，所以呢，这比我们原计划呢稍稍晚1个月，因为原来我们的计划是2季度要交付5款车，但我们后来认识到这个还是需要给到这个每一款车稍微多一点的时间保证上市时候的这个品质包括这个上市时候的这个营销的节奏。那其他的当然产品持续的迭代改善，这个都一直是我在做的，这个我们会及时的跟市场去交流。那明年的产品节奏现在还太早了，我们还是先把现在这几个月交5款车，这个压力已经很大了，我们还是先把最近的这几款车交好。但我能说的是未来的产品规划一直都是非常的严谨和非常的按照计划去推进的，所以我们当然从目前来讲的话呢，按照我们的节奏和计划推出包括新的品牌新的产品，这个我们的节奏就是按照自己的节奏在前进的，所以目前都是按照计划在推进的。
Thank you for your question. Actually, for the second quarter of this year, we are according to our latest plan, we expected to launch 4 new models, including our most important product, probably that is the ES6. And in July, we plan to deliver the 5th model. Actually, this is a little bit late compared with our previous plan, because our previous plan is that in the second quarter of this year, we're going to deliver all the 5 new models. But we realized that probably it's better for us to have some breathing room between different product launches, so we can probably ensure much higher quality of the products and also make sure the things have a much better pace for the product deliveries and sales. In terms of the product upgrades, we have been continuously making product improvements, and we will keep the market informed if there's any kind of update. When it comes to the product launch cadence for the next year, I think probably this is not the right timing for us to share those information because right now I believe the teams are facing tremendous pressure. After we can deliver the 5 new models this year with very high standards. But all in all, we have our own pace and our own schedules when it comes to our new product launch and also our new brand. And in terms of the product launch cadence and of a new brand, everything is on track according to our plan.
Thank you,
Thank you, William. Thank you, William.
The next question comes from Wang Bin with Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I actually got 2 questions about guidance. Number one is about volume. For full year, still maintain the guidance for 250K, because given that recently in the price cut by the competitors in the first quarter delivery, you actually earlier phase off the products. So we do actually maintain the full year volume guidance about 250K. That's number one. Number two, you actually mentioned earlier the number 4 quarter for NIO brands that alone will be turned around to profitable. Given a change in the external competition, do you actually maintain the same guidance? Thank you.
对，我们从全年来讲，我们相信我们今年的这个目标是能够完成的。我们在新产品交付了以后，我们对需求还是非常有信心的。基于3个方面，第一个当然是我们今年上半年我们会交付，今年我们会交付5款全新的基于 NT2 平台的产品。那么我们整个的产品都会切换到这个新的平台。对于这个应该说进入一个比较强的一个产品周期。那避免两代产品同时卖还是很重要的，对于我们一线的这个效率也能提升很多啊。这个和去年 Q4 和今年 Q1 的情况是很不一样的。第二个来讲呢，我们就是说的产品切换，我们产品切换完了以后，我们是能够覆盖 BBA 80%销量占比的这样一个主销车型。而且我们在各个细分市场，从产品的优势的角度来讲的话，都是非常巨大的，都是碾压式的。这是第一点。
For the full year of 2023, we are confident that we can achieve our targets. After we complete our product deliveries, we believe we will see some upside momentum for our vehicle deliveries. For this year, we are going to deliver 5 new products based on the NT2 technology platform. After all of our product portfolio transitions to the NT2 platforms, it means that we are going to enter a very strong product cycle. We believe that this can actually improve our team efficiency much better, because the teams don't need to sell 2 generation products at the same time. After we transition all the product portfolio into the technology platform 2.0, we believe we are going to cover probably 80% of the mainstream vehicle models for the BMW, Audi, Mercedes, and when you compare our products with their products, we believe our product competitiveness is much stronger.
第二个增长的动力呢是我们的这个充换电体系你们应该也看到了，我们今年要新增1000个换电站那么我们想这个也是会给我们进到更多的市场比如说3、4线的城市，那提供了一个动力这个是非常重要的。那我们现在去年我们到目前为止，我们一半的用户50%多以上的用户分布在上海、江苏和浙江这3个省市。那么从另外一方面来讲的话呢，也能说明的话呢，我们还有巨大的这个市场空间等着我们去拓展。所以我们今年的这1000个换电站不光是补充现在的用户的这样的一些体验更多的还是对这个进入更多市场的这样一个支撑。
The second driver is going to be our charging and swapping network. This year, we plan to deploy additional 1,000 power swap stations to cover more markets. Especially, we believe that this is going to help us to boost our demand in the Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities. Probably some of you know that for our current vehicle deliveries, over 50% of our vehicle deliveries happens in Shanghai, Jiangsu, and Zhejiang. So at the same time, if you look at the overall vehicle delivery landscape of NIO products, it means that we have a huge potential to explore in other cities and the regions. So we believe with the deployment of the additional 1,000 power swap stations, we can cover more users and also improve the experience of the existing users, which can also support our vehicle demand growth in other different cities and regions as well.
第三个增长的动力来自于我们在NT2 平台上的这样一些软件的逐步的这个功能的释放和更加成熟。我前面也讲到了， 最近1周，我们 NOP Plus 的使用里程就超过了175万公里。那我们因为所有的车都是标配的这个算力和这个传感器，那这个数据闭环的这个优势是巨大的啊。我们已经在很多第三方测评里面，我们的这个 NOP Plus 都是取代第1名啊。那我想这一点，包括还有其他的这个我们 NT2 平台的这样的一些，包括座舱啊，包括音响这方面的一些体验，都是逐步的完善。我们相信这也是能够极大的增加我们的产品竞争力，因为我们的一些同行，他们都选择的是这个选配的这样的一些策略，就是标配的这样一个策略。那我们从这个今年随着更多功能的释放，这个会极大的增加我们产品的竞争力。
At the same time, when we look at the software features and functions that are planned to be released on the new technology platform 2.0, we believe it will also contribute to other vehicle demands. Just like I mentioned in the recent week, the engaged mileage of the the NOP Plus beta is over 1.75 million kilometers. All of our products come standard with the strong computing power and the sensor suite. So this actually provides a huge foundation for us to have a closed loop data management. If you look at all the tests by the third parties or by the professional medias, NOP Plus beta ranks the first in all those tests. So we believe together with other improvements in terms of the digital cockpit and as well as the audio systems and other softwares and features in our product, this will significantly boost the product competitiveness of our products, because when you look at the competitors or the peers in the market, most competitors, they offer those functions and features as an option, but for us, because everything comes as a standard, so it means that we will have a huge room to upgrade the experience for our users.
所以综合来说，我们的目标还是按照全年去翻倍的这样的一个目标啊，团队对这个还是非常有信心的。至于说到整个盈利能力的问题，这个当然跟毛利率，因为我们的费用相对来说是固定的，这个跟毛利率当然是高度相关。那如果这个原材料的价格按照这个目前的这个趋势是能达到我们的一个预期的下降的速度的话，我们仍然认为我们在今年的 Q4 不考虑我们的一些创新业务的投入，因为这个和我们当时这个制定这个计划的时候相比的话呢，这是我们新增加的一些投入啊，不考虑到这些创新业务的投入的话呢，我们仍然是按照在今年的 Q4 啊，我们的这个可比业务去实现这个盈利啊，实现 break even， 还是按照这个目标去制定的。
In a nutshell, our target is still to double our volume in this year, and our teams are quite confident to achieve this target. When it comes to the profitability, this is closely bundled together with the gross margin. So if the raw material cost reduction can meet our expectations, like I explained before, then for the fourth quarter, we believe this probably can still achieve the target that we set before. But when we made the plan to become positive, we didn't consider the strategic new business investment. So it means that for the fourth quarter of this year, our target is that put aside the investment for the strategic new businesses. Our new brand, the main business of the new brand, can still achieve break even.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you so much.
The next question comes from Yuqing Ding with HSBC. Please go ahead.
Thanks, team. Yuqian here. I got two. First on ET5. We noticed order book contraction on this flagship volume model ET5. How would the management look at and stabilize the monthly sales volume on ET5 to 10K per month? What's the key driver to support? Is it broadly a sector demand related or any specific service network expansion supported? The second question is on lithium to margin. The lithium price is correcting. We talked about before about 100K RMB per ton price correction roughly released 2% margin. So roughly we might get 4 to 8% buffer this year. Can we keep them all, or we might have to pass some to the consumers given the universal pricing pressure? On that notion, will us take the cathode deal to get lower lithium price, but to lock up more sourcing share with them? Thank you.
谢谢。总的来说的话呢，我们如果去看我们 Q2 或者说今年我们的 NT2 的产品都发布了以后，你可以基本上来讲把我们的产品分成3个聚类。第一个当然就是我们的主要的这个销量包括你说的 ET5 包括我们 ES6 当然 ET5 我们会和 ET5 的 Touring， 当然大家也都已经知道了虽然我们还没有正式发布，这个我们会 combine 在一起。我们认为ET5 加上 ET5 的 Touring 和 ES6， 我们的目标是希望能够实现2万一个月的销量。我们认为这个市场的容量是足够容纳我们制定这样一个目标的。那么在这个上面的话呢，我们当然会有一些销量的贡献的一些车型，比如说 ET7、ES7 ES8。那么在这次车的话，每款车差不多是2000到4000台之间的这么一个所以加起来的话，可能差不多是在1万台左右，8000到1万台左右。那么如果再去看的话呢，再往上一些就是我们一些锐化我们品牌的这样的一些车型，比如说我们的 Coupe SUV EC7 EC6 这样的一些车型。那么这个当然这个它主要是表现我们在设计在品味这方面的一些追求的那有些比较追求个性的用户比较喜欢这样的车，那我们当然希望它能多卖一些，但这个当然它会小众一些那差不多是1-2000台一个月的销量。所以总的来说结合在一起，我们认为我们现在的产品组合是能够支持我们每个月的销量超过3万台，是足够支持的。
Thank you for your question. Starting from the second quarter of this year, we are going to gradually launch and deliver all the products based on the new technology platform 2.0. When it comes to the total product portfolio, we can look at them into 3 different dimensions. The first one is the volume driver, that is the ET5, ES6, and the ET5 Touring that we haven't released, but I believe everyone knows. So if we combine the ET5 Touring and the ES6 together, we believe is possible for us to achieve 20,000 units per month if we consider the addressable market. When it comes to the second dimension, that is the volume contributor, that includes the ET7, ES7, and the ES8. We believe for those models, each model can achieve a delivery volume around 2,000 to 4,000 per month. And if we combine them together, then for this volume contributor segment, this probably can contribute 8,000 to 10,000 units for overall vehicle delivery and sales. For the third dimension, that is the brand shaper, that is over coupe SUVs, the EC7 and the EC6. Because the coupe SUV is a relatively niche market, and we believe that this can probably help us to better showcase of a brand design taste, and for those users who would like it to be different and they want to show off their taste and their sense of design, then probably they can choose this brand shaper product. Of course, we hope to sell more products, including the brand shaper, but this is a relatively niche market segment. So we believe for it's the brand shaper, that is the EC7 and the EC6, probably the volume is around 1,000 to 2,000 per month for each product. So if we look at the complete product portfolio of all those products, we believe those strong product portfolio and diversified product portfolio should be able to support us to achieve a volume of 30,000 units per month.
Okay, Chen, this is Steven. I would like to answer your second question about the lithium price. First, we totally agree that our GP margin is very sensitive to the lithium price. As you have mentioned, if the lithium increased by 100,000 RMB per ton, our GP margin can be boosted by as far as 200 point. So that means we expect or we believe this year there's a good chance that the lithium carbonate price will trade to around 200,000 RMB per ton, and that will translate a good GP margin elasticity for NIO. And if you look at the lithium carbonate price, in the past it was just like around 100,000 RMB, and then it peaked around 570,000 RMB in November 2022, which increased the whole EV industry. And then from the beginning of this year, the lithium carbonate price has already retreated to around 400,000 RMB per ton. Looking forward, on the supply side, as several battery suppliers invested in the upstream raw material efforts, and these efforts started to yield meaningful lithium carbonate supply from the second quarter of this year. So from the supply side, we do see a stable increase. On demand side, yes, last year, the China's EV sales volume almost doubled. But if you look at this year, a good estimation is around 30%. So we expect the gap between the supply and demand will reduce significantly, which will lead to a lower and more reasonable lithium carbonate price around 2,000 RMB per ton. Last but not least, when we look at the production cost of lithium carbonate, if you look at the lead lepidolite production cost, which is around 150,000 RMB, so a lithium carbonate price around 200,000 RMB per ton can offer a good profit room for such lepidolite supply to offer stable. So in short, if the lithium carbonate price will retreat quite a lot this year, and that's good for the whole industry.
Thank you, Tim.
The next question comes from Paul Gong with UBS. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my questions. Two questions. The first one is regarding the latest sales trend of ES7 and ET7. I understand that the 866, these three models are phasing out. That is a temporary weakness before switching to the new platform. And I also see you have put a lot of the expectation on the NT2 platform products. But what has been driving the weakness of the ES7 and ET7 recently? Is it due to the immediate hangover effect of the subsidy cut, or is it due to the supply chain bottleneck, or is it like capacity allocation to ET5 that has cannibalized the ES7 and ET7 sales? So what has been the reason for the recent weakness of these two new platform kind of flagship models? My second question is regarding the efficiency improvement. I think William has spoken internally beginning of this year regarding the key effort of efficiency improvement in 2023. So what has been the key area that you want to improve? We can still see you invest a lot for the future, including the 1,000 battery swapping stations to be deployed for this year, including the expansion and new house in Europe. But where can we find the efficiency improvements, and that's the expense ratio or reduction for the rest of this year?
谢谢 Paul。我们看今年的1月份、2月份的话呢，确实市场的需求还是，特别是纯电的这个需求还是受到一些影响。 那大家如果去看的话呢，当然我们的同行也都已经发布了1月份交付数啊，都是有一些压力的。当然很重要的一个原因呢，还是因为这个去年这个到年底，经过这个中国的补贴是到了去年年底就彻底的退坡了啊。那也就是说今年是完全没有补贴了。那么我想这个对每一家来讲的话呢，都会有一些短期的影响。那当然对我们的影响呢，相对来说会少一点，因为毕竟我们整个的车的对 MSRP 还是相对来说比较高啊。那我们这个补贴对这个影响，这个是相对来说小一些吧，但是它还是会有影响的。那如果去问我的角度来讲的话，我们从2月份开始，还是每周都能看到需求的这个不断的增长啊。包括在 ESP 和 ETC 上面，和今年1月份相比的话，那么它的需求我们能看到每周都是在都在增长的过程中。所以总的来说的话呢，我觉得 ESP 和 ETC 在它所在的市场仍然是非常有竞争力的啊，我们对它的长期需求是有信心的。当然短期确实会有点压力，这个我们认为包括跟春节，包括跟这个季节性的影响，包括跟补贴退坡啊，当然也可能会受一些宏观的经济的一些影响，都会有这样的一些影响。但是我们看到的好的地方就在于从2月份开始，我们能看到这个需求是每周比每周都要更好一些，所以总的来说我们是有信心的。
Thank you, Paul, for your question. We can see that for the first 2 months of this year, the market demand is not that strong, especially when it comes to the demand for the BEV. We see this has suffered some impact. But if you look at all the peers, I believe most peers have published their delivery results for the first 2 months. This is actually affecting everyone in the market. I believe a very important factor is the subsidy cut. Starting from this year, there will be no more subsidies, and this will create some short-term effect on everyone in this market. But when it comes to NIO specifically, because we have a relatively higher MSRP, so this impact on us is actually relatively lower compared with others. Starting from the February, we can see the demand is recovering week by week, including the ES7 and the ET7 compared with January. So for the ES7 and ET7, we can see that in their specific segment, they're still very competitive. So we're very confident when it comes to the demand for the ES7 and ET7 in the long run. But in the short term, yes, we are facing some pressure. I believe that there are multiple factors we have to consider, probably like the Spring Festival and the low seasonalities of the auto market, as well as the subsidies or other micro environments. But still, we are very confident with our product competitiveness in their specific segment.
在效率提升方面，这个确实是我们今年的一个工作的重点。因为去年来讲的话呢，我们的人员扩展的非常的快，那我们有很多项目开展，很多项目开始进行投入。那今年对我们来说的话呢，我们倒不是说是要去削减项目，削减人员或者说关停项目，我们更多的还是把人效要提高，就是同样多的人，我们要有更高的产出，更高质量的产出。那不管是在研发，还是在销售，还是在管理方面。另外一方面的话呢，我们也会去重新的去看看我们这些项目的优先级啊，包括这个研发，还有包括一些固定资产的投资，我们会更去评估这个时间的这个优先级，我们包括投资的一个优先级。那么这个也是我们在节奏调整方面很重要的一个方向。所以总的来说，我们效率的提升更多的是在产出的质量，还有包括这个优先级方面。
Yes, actually the efficiency improvement is the most important task for NIO this year. Last year, because of the project progress and we have multiple projects going in parallel, so the human resources increase is much faster compared with the past. But when it comes to the efficiency improvement, we are not talking about cutting projects we believe that the efficiency is more about improving the efficiency per person. We can improve the overall efficiency of the whole organization when it comes to the R&D, sales and service, and also management. At the same time, we also need to do some prioritization of a different kind of projects, including the R&D projects and also the CapEx investment. So it means that we need to look at the priority in terms of the timeline and also the investment. So all in all, the efficiency improvement will more focus on the output and the quality of the output as well as the prioritization.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Nick Lai with JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
谢谢让我问问题。我就两个比较简单的战略性的问题，第一个是有关电池的问题，第二个是个财务的问题。那电池的问题的话，我想请教一下，我们跟 CATL 这个采购合约会不会从去年就可能是随时调整？那市场上有比较多的讨论说会跟 CATL 会签一个比较中长期的合约，我想知道说我们跟 CATL 这个签约的模式，在未来中长期会不会有些比较重要的改变？那同时间在电池的问题上面，可以跟我们 update 一下那个我们半固态电池什么时候会在产品会发表会看到，这是第一个电池的问题。第二个问题就有关刚威廉有提到说今年4季度不考虑新的业务能够 break even。那我换个方式来看这个问题，我们的新的业务就是这个 mass market 的 brand 可能包含一些手机等等，它的投资的量级就是当然我知道可能没有是它的这个 investment 的这个或者相对 capex 的 size， 我们该怎么去考虑这个事情？就是把这全部考虑的话，我们整体的 break even 是会在哪一年2024、25、26，还是就提供一些方向让我们参考。Let me translate my question very fast. The first question is about the cooperation agreement with CATL and the pricing arrangement with CATL, and also an quick update on semi-solid state battery. And secondly, can we talk about the potential investment size for new initiative? Thank you.
好，谢谢 Nick。我们这个今年的话，当然我们会一方面会引进新的这个电池的这个合作伙伴，我们在今年这个3月份吧，我们应该是最近的话呢，我们和这个中航的合作的这个电池包就会上线啊。那么当然我们和宁德当然会保持一个长期的战略合作的关系。那么我们也在跟他们讨论一些新的价格的机制啊，当然还没有签署最终的协议，但是从方向上来讲的话呢，我想电池公司也是认识到这个必须和这个汽车公司一起去承担这个电池材料的这样的一些价格的这样的一些波动。那当然我们还在跟他们在讨论的过程中。半固态电池我们还在努力的量产的过程中啊，我们也派出我们自己的电池团队帮助我们的合作伙伴加快量产，但我也非常希望找一些这个能够提供给我们的用户，还需要点时间还需要几个月的时间吧。
Nick, thank you for your question. For this year, we will introduce new battery partners. I believe probably around March, we're going to launch new battery packs in collaboration with CATL. At the same time, we will also keep our long-term strategic relationship with CATL. Right now, we're in discussion with CATL in terms of the new agreement, but we haven't signed the agreement yet. I believe that the discussion direction is basically that the battery companies will start to work in parallel with the auto companies, and we are going to share the volatilities of the raw material cost together throughout the supply chain. When it comes to the semi-solid battery, we have a sense of battery teams to help our partners in the semi-solid battery make sure they can have a smooth mass production for the batteries. But we're really sorry for the delay, but probably this will be available. We estimate this will be available probably after several months.
第二个问题就是 我们新业务的投资规模，总体来说的话呢，全年差不多是40-50亿人民币的这样一个投资的规模，那么每个 Q 的话呢，就是超过10个亿人民币吧，总的投资规模差不多是这样。那当然，从我们总体的一个目标的角度来讲，我们仍然是希望实现在明年整个公司能够 break even 的这样的一个目标啊，这仍然是我们的一个目标。
Regarding the investment for the strategic new businesses, for the full year, we estimate that this will be around 4 to 5 billion RMB. So if we break it down, then it means that probably around 1 billion RMB every quarter. The overall target for the company is that for the group, we still aim to achieve a break even for the company in 2024.
好的，谢谢你，谢谢。
The next question comes from Edison Yu with Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
Hey, thank you for taking the questions. First one, can you maybe go over some feedback you've gotten in Europe? You've been in Norway for over a year. You recently launched in several other countries. What has been the user feedback, and what is a reasonable amount of volume we could expect there in the next few years? And then second question, really quick, on the other margin, it's still quite negative. It's been quite negative. When can we see some recovery in that level? Thank you.
欧洲的从这个我们已经交付的用户的 feedback 的角度来讲，对我们的产品总体上评价都还是非常高的。当然我们会每周看这个用户的满意度的情况，总体上来说的话呢是达到我们的预期的。但客观的说的话呢，我们在欧洲的基建方面的进展落后于我们的预期啊。比如说换电站，那我们到目前为止我们还只布了11个换电站，这个远远落后于我们的预期啊。我们的同事也很努力，但是这个和我们原初的计划是差得非常的远。那包括我们的 NIO House 开业的进度也比我们预期的要慢，所以我们对于欧洲的基建的速度还是原来的计划还是比我们原来的计划要慢不少吧。这个也会影响到我们的一些这个交付的情况。那我们能看到的是用户的需求 Test Drive 的增长各方面的情况都还是非常不错的，我们的团队也逐步的走上正轨。但总的来说我们要加快这个基础设施建设的速度。那今年我们仍然不是把在欧洲的交付量当为我们的目标，所以如果从今年来讲的话呢，我们认为全年来说的话呢，我们认为这个在我们来说吧，我们觉得应该不会，这个我们的目标没有超过1万台，这个我们是把用户满意度当成我们的这个最优秀的目标。但长期来说我们还是非常有信心的。长期来说的话，看到产品的竞争力还有用户的满意度，这个我们还是非常有信心的。
Thank you for your question. For European markets, we have delivered our products to some users, and those users have been speaking very highly about our products. We have been tracking the user satisfaction rate on a weekly basis, and we believe that this basically meets our expectation. The one aspect that we think is lagging behind is the infrastructure building in Europe. Right now we have around 11 power swap stations. This is actually far behind our original planning. That's the same with the deployment of the new houses in Europe. So we believe because the infrastructure deployment in Europe is lagging behind, which also affected the delivery and the sales in the European market. When we look at the user demand and the test drive data, we can see there are some improvements. on a weekly basis. And the team building is also on track for the European markets. But the only thing that we need to speed up is the infrastructure building in the European market. For this year, we believe the sales is not our top priority. To be honest, our target in terms of the sales volume for the European market this year is probably less than 10K, and we believe the most important thing for us is actually the user satisfaction rate. For the long run, we are very confident about our performance in the European market when we consider the user satisfaction rate that we are seeing right now and the competitiveness of our product portfolio in the market.
Okay. For the second question about the other loss, as the sales and car park growing in China, the losses from vehicle repair and maintenance are continuously narrowing. We kept expanding our power swap station network in 2022, which drove the loss increase of other loss. And we will stick to the continuous deployment of power network and plan to newly build 1,000 power swap stations in 2023, as William mentioned. Therefore, we expect the loss of other business will continue to increase in 2023. But the continuous expansion of our power infrastructure will not only help us improve our user satisfaction, but also help us to sell more cars in the market. So that's all. Thank you, Edison.
Thank you, Edison.
The next question comes from Jin Chang with CICC. Please go ahead.
好的，非常感谢管理层。我这边上宾汽车长金，然后我这边就跟这两个小的问题，大家问的可能比较充分了。第一个问题就是关于可能整体渠道数量如果进一步增长的话，我们可能会覆盖更多这个低线级的城市。考虑到这些市场可能相对而言，消费客群的话对传统这个豪华品牌粘性还是比较强的。在这个整体的产品营销端，我们会做哪些可能比较有针对性的一个调整？ So my first question is about with the further increase in the number of our distribution stores, we will cover more lower tier cities, considering that these customers in those markets are very sticky to traditional luxury brands. So will we make some more targeted adjustments in our product and marketing?
谢谢。总的来说的话呢，我们觉得在这些市场的话呢，这下沉市场我们不一定是要去投资门店这样的一些方式。我们为什么今年要去布更多的换电站？也是从我们一些实践中去得到的一些这样的一些总结。我举一个例子，比如说我们在山东的滨州博兴县下边有一个新福镇，这个我们有在那个地方有500多用户，在一个镇里面，这个镇的人口户籍人口不足5万，但有500多个我们的用户。当然这个它的这个用户的增长是跟我们在当地用户在早期他们自己一起想办法布了一个换电站啊，然后就随着这样的话就把用户就发展起来了。那么我们后来当然又增加了一个换电站，我们看到这边这样一个镇里面有2个换电站，我们能够有500多个用户，这也给了我们很多的启发啊。那我们以前在这方面的话呢，我们的换电站更多是在1线大城市，那我们认识到在3、4线城市甚至一些更小的地方，我们通过换电站是能够增加这个用户的这个用户数量的啊，那是非常高效的一个方式。所以我们今年的这种下沉市场的发展更多的是根据这样的一些方式啊，是非常高效的一个发展的用户的方式。
Thank you, Changjing, for your question. When it comes to the expansion into the sub-tier cities, we're not talking about the deployment of the new houses or new spaces. We believe that the more efficient way is to deploy the power swap stations in the sub-tier cities. For example, in Boxing, in Shandong Province, Binzhou, Boxing, there's some growing user base, and the users at the beginning, they actually grow the user base themselves, and then they worked together with us to deploy the power swap stations. So that's the first power swap stations. Then later we deployed the second power swap stations in this town, and now this town has around 500 users. So for those sub-tier cities, especially when it comes to the tier 3 and tier 4 cities, we think the more efficient way for us to grow our user base is to deploy the power swap stations. Previously, our power swap station is mainly deployed in the tier 1 and tier 2 cities, but this is our strategy this year to make sure we can deploy more power swap stations in the tier 3 and the tier 4 cities.
好的，谢谢。我第二个问题是关于整体的这个定价的战略，尤其是新的产品。然后今年开始呢，我看到整体现在市场价格竞争还是比较激烈的。虽然我们可能定位的还是比较豪华市场，但是仍然能够看到，无论是 SC 新能源还是燃油车竞品，可能都会有更大的一个降价和促销。那我们在这个尤其是新发布的这个车型，像新的866。然后以及可能全新的这个车型上面，价格策略会不会更加的下沉和激进一些？或者会否考虑可能减配的一些方式，去推出更低的一些价格的这个款型？So my second question about we can see that at the beginning of this year, the price competition in the new energy vehicle market has become more fiercer, and also we are positioning luxury brand market, we can still see a greater price reduction in both new energy and ICE vehicle market. So we will be more aggressive in the price strategy of new models. Or will you consider the way of reducing some configuration and to introduce more models with lower price?
我们一直的策略都是希望是一个稳定的一个价格的策略，我们也没有去推出减配的这样的一些计划啊。我们认为我们的定价是对用户来说是足够有价值的。这个不管是我们每一款车，如果去看它的配置、它的性能、它的智能化的程度以及相关的一些服务的权益，那对用户来说是这个物有所值的，所以我们并没有去在 NIO 这个 brand 下面，我们并没有这个去做减配这样的一些想法啊，因为低价也不是我们一个NIO 这个 brand 下面一个策略。
Our consistent strategy is to keep our product pricing stable. So we do not have any plan to cut the features and functions for our products. For each of our products in our product portfolio, we believe when we look at the features, the functions, and the performance of those products as well as the user benefits, we think every aspect of the product is well deserved and well established when it comes to the product pricing and strategy. So for the NIO brand, we do not have any plan to cut the features and the functions of our products, and I think this is consistent of our branding and the pricing strategy, because low pricing is not a part of the strategy or the DNA of the NIO brand.
Thank you, Jing.
好的，谢谢。
As there are no further questions, now I'd like to turn the call back over to the company for any closing remarks.
Thank you once again for joining us today. If you have further questions, please feel free to contact the NIO's Investor Relations team through the contact information provided on our website. This concludes the conference call. You may now disconnect your line. Thank you.
Thank you.
This does conclude our conference for today. Thank you for participating. You may now